16 years ago, my father and brother were together in the living room in front of our old hulking CRT TV. They had the Sega Genesis hooked up and they were playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2. My brother then noticed me sitting next to them and offered me his controller in his place. I took it from his hands and experienced my first ever moments of playing a video game. Now, in 2019,
the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise fucking sucks.
Okay, I'm being harsh. The Sonic series has put out some legitimately outstanding and long-beloved titles such as the classic series, the adventure games, and the modern ones. However, there have been many decisions over the last 25 years that have made the blooper a bit of a laughingstock. If you're also a fan of Sonic, you may know why. Regardless, after Sonic became popular with the success of his first outing, work on a sequel began almost immediately. On the Sega CD. Yeah, this game had a pretty interesting development cycle. While a team in Japan was busy working on a Sonic game for the Genesis' new compact disc add-on, a team in North America was working their hearts out on another Sonic game to release sooner. Knowing that, I wonder if Sega really had intended for Sonic CD to be the actual Sonic 2, but the American team just finished sooner and decided to call that project Sonic 2. Kinda like how Resident Evil Code Veronica was supposed to be Resident 3, but Capcom had a deal with Sony to hold, so Nemesis was called Resident Evil 3. I digress. Sonic 2 opened to overwhelmingly positive critical feedback, and is fondly remembered by many to be the best game in the series. The game was more colorful, the music was even more of a jam, it was much easier to keep up your speedy pace throughout the whole experience, and it started my tendency of always beginning at the second game in the franchise. Dear God, how many times am I going to do this? With that said...
Hello, I'm David, and this is my look at Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis.
Now, normally in my reviews, I like to start off with a synopsis of a game's narrative as part of the formula I follow when constructing my reviews. I didn't do this for Sonic 1 because I thought the game had little to no story.
Why was I wrong?
It turns out that in the game's manual there was a whole setup and hook for the game. Here's the story. Robotnik invaded Sonic's home on South Island in search of the Chaos Emeralds, mystical jewels containing limitless power to front his aspirations of conquering the world.
Of course!
After teaching the fat ass a lesson, Sonic decided to fly out to West Side Island for some much needed relaxation. And yeah, you heard me right, fly! This anthropomorphic hedgehog is a certified pilot with his own biplane, the Tornado. While on the island, Sonic keeps running into this freaking mutant abomination miles per hour.
I'm done.
Oh, alright, for God's sakes. While on the island, Sonic keeps running into this two-tailed fox miles per hour, who begins chasing him to tag along on his adventures. Eventually, this kid finds a tornado lying along the shoreside and, unable to help himself, gives it a tune-up. Yes, this freak is mechanically inclined, next to tell me a crocodile is a musician.
I was joking!
Sonic discovers the Fox Boy working on the tornado, but befriends the little dude when he explains some of the changes he made to the design, making the engine run smoother and allowing the plane to fly at faster speeds. But then the evil Dr. Robotnik is at it again, kidnapping animals from West Side Island this time, in search of the Chaos Emeralds once more. As Sonic and the newcomer Miles, also known as Tails, it's your job to take on the mad roboticist once again and save the world.
Naturally!
That's a new one.
The summary I've given it is nothing remarkable, but if you actually go to read the stories given for these games in the manuals, especially the original Japanese works, it makes me wonder why the writers never took advantage of the opportunities these stories provided. Going deeper into Robotnik's decline to madness, Sonic and Tails meeting for the first time and becoming friends, the creation of the Chaos Emeralds, why can't we have games focusing on topics like these? I'm not expecting the classic series to really delve into these things, not with what technology was capable of at the time. And I know there are other forums of Sonic Media that do talk about some of these things, but still, there's some serious potential for the franchise's narrative to grow, but it's never taken advantage of, and it drives me nuts! All of these endless possibilities, squandered. Now about the game. It is a game after all. The control scheme is the same as before and no changes were made to the base mechanics of how the game plays. However, there is this new move that's been added called the Spin Dash. While standing still and holding down on the directional pad, or D-pad, and mashing one of the face buttons, Sonic will curl into a ball and rev up like an engine to blast off at the speed of sound, especially if you do it near a booster. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The spin dash is a fantastic way to pick up speed without having to use physics, helping the player keep up their speedy pace and race through levels of the game. As I mentioned in the intro, this game is much more colorful than Sonic 1. By just pressing start in the game's menu, you'll see that the loading screen has actual color now. That and each zone is much more lively than ever before, with all sorts of vibrant colors used for them. While zones were plentiful in different shades and hues of colors in the last game, they often look pretty dull or even washed out. Maybe it's just my TV settings, but Sonic 2 feels like it's bursting with more colorful than ever before, making for a much prettier picture to look at. The zones themselves are much better constructed than previously. While the game also has a strong focus on platforming, it's nothing like before, as the majority of levels can be beaten in a much shorter time span than in Sonic 1. Nothing really stops you dead in your tracks, you're always on the move, even when you die in a level. It just feels faster, feels smoother, feels exciting! Feels like I'm alive, baby! Emerald Hill is a much better opening than Green Hill ever was, as there aren't beds of spikes laid across the ground or bottomless pits to fall in. It's a much friendlier environment to introduce newcomers. I should know, it was the first level I ever played. Chemical Plant is great for learning just how fast you can go with Sonic, as there are many loops and slopes to gain speed on and boosters to escape the game. However, there are some platforming challenges near the end that may be a little too much for players. This bit of floating cubes in purple water is infamous among players for how easy it is to drown, since Sonic doesn't move fast underwater at all. That and there are no airballs to speak of, so I hope you can time your jumps right. Aquatic Ruin is forgettable in my mind, as I had to look up the name of the zone. It's the game's definitive water level, but if you're careful, it's possible never to come in contact with the water at all. Additionally, there are a lot of points where it could be easy to get hit with these arrows that shoot out or these drilly boys. Casino Night is weird. It's a platforming-focused level, but what makes it strange is... Juan, I need your help again.
And here we're introduced to what will become a staple in the Sonic series. Compulsive gambling.
Okay.
Hilltop is a surprisingly friendly-looking zone, despite where it's set. That being a mountaintop, so the title is a lie. It's also... Oh god! Mystic Cave is a hostile zone. There are many places where it can be easy to get hit or even crushed. It's also home to the infamous pit with no way out or hope. Oil Ocean is home to the USA's oil production and is somehow safe to swim in. Sometimes the only real obstacle in this zone is just finding the goalpost to end the level, because the zone is designed a bit like a maze at times, but it's oh so satisfying when you do reach the end. Metropolis is a bit of a marathon, as every zone before now, from Emerald Hill to Oil Ocean, was only 2 acts long. Metropolis is 3 whole acts and it really feels like it. It can feel more like a maze and Mystic Cave at times too. But none of that compares to the unholy trinity of badnik robots that lurk the depths of this mechanical hell. Astrons that slumber along the walls and self-destruct to shit out projectiles. Slicers who are always in the most annoyingest spots and their boomerang-like talons are always sure to hit you. Last but not least... Shellcrackers. They are always placed in a spot where it's difficult to get around them. They can only be attacked from above or rolled into from behind. They're always facing a direction where they can attack you with their extendable claw. They are the worst enemy in this zone.
I hate them.
For the rest of the game, it's just 1-act zones, starting off with Sky Chase, an easy auto-scrolling level where you're just gonna outlast a few wings of Robotnik's armada. However, controlling the tornado is a bit awkward, as Sonic has to walk along the edges of the biplane's top wing in order to move it. Though it is always positioned to be under Sonic at all times, it can just look off and cause some confusion. Wing Fortress may be the bane of some players' existence, as it's another platforming-focused level. You gotta hop across the bottom section of this flying base and hope to God that your timing and momentum is right to carry you across. I wouldn't know, because I just take this shortcut, which can be just as dangerous, but at least I can feel more confident when I cross this bridge. However, it doesn't end there, as the boss in this zone is a little hard. It's this big laser with floating spike platforms you need to jump on top of to destroy the thing. What makes this difficult is that there's just so much happening on the screen, it can be hard to keep track of everything. It doesn't help that you need to wait for the shield to reveal the laser in order to damage it. Expect to die here a lot.
And yes, the fact that the laser points down on your own ship, Robotnik, is pretty stupid.
To cap us all off is Robotnik's very own orbital space fortress, the Death Egg.
What?
All that thing needs to do is destroy something, and Sega's gonna have one hell of a lawsuit on their hands.
Anyway, to cap us off is the Death Egg, arguably the hardest level in the game. I say that because this zone, much like the final zone in the last game, is nothing but boss fights. Worst of all, there are no rings in sight. One hit, and you're dead. So I hope you have good reflexes, plenty of lives to spare, as well as continues to restart at the beginning of a zone when you run out of lives. Or else it's back to the main menu for you. Oh yeah, and no checkpoints, so have fun. First fight is against this robotic doppelganger Mecha Sonic. This thing could have been the final boss alone, as there's no way to really tell what exactly he's going to do next. Is it going to dash across the room? Is it going to curl into a spiky ball and roll around the floor? Curl up and jump across the room? Curl up and jump across the room and shoot up projectiles? There's no pattern to this thing, I swear, which can lead to such unfair deaths and... Ah, fuck, there is a pattern! Last but not least is the Death Egg Robot, who's not as hard, but it can still be a pretty difficult opponent. Just keep dodging him and tying your jumps right, and congrats! You beat Sonic 2. The Death Egg explodes as Sonic makes his escape, and Tails catches him in a tornado as he falls from the heavens, ending Sonic 2.
Unless...
Collect all the Chaos Emeralds again, which there are 7 now, by the way. By reaching a checkpoint with 50 rings, stars with 4, jumping into them will transport you to the special stages once more. But in this game, there are these half-pipe structures where you must collect a certain amount of rings to orbit a Chaos Emerald. These are extraordinarily difficult because while you can see what's ahead of you, you can't see what's ahead of you. Rings or obstacles like these bombs won't appear until it's usually too late, especially around corners, so basically you need to memorize these special stages in order to succeed. It's not even worth the ending though. While collecting all 7 of the Chaos Emeralds allows the player the ability to transform into the Golden Supersonic, aka a loss of the makers of Dragon Ball, I feel it impacts the ending in a negative way. Instead of being rescued by Tails, he just goes super and wonders why the little fox boy even bothered. As one Ortiz once said,
You say, okay, this is the bad ending, where Tails rescues Sonic. Yeah, that's a bad ending. But I actually think this is the better ending, because it really shows a bond between Sonic and Tails. You know, I want to go into, the character relationships aside, but, and when you get all the 7 Chaos Emeralds, Sonic becomes Super Sonic and then just flies by the plane's side, as if, yeah, I never need your help, I don't know why you're here.
Collecting all the Chaos Emeralds in this game, it's just not worth it. Besides, I've already collected all the Chaos Emeralds for myself, so that guarantees me a good ending for when my time comes.
Sonic 2 was a wild success. The game sold over 6 million copies when it was first released, and is heralded by many to be the best game in the series. The new designs it incorporated into its levels allowed for much faster and more consistent gameplay through the entire experience, welcomely introducing many players to the Sonic series, myself included. It's a fantastic title to introduce newcomers not only to Sonic, but also to video games in general, ever since release on a day dubbed Sonic Tuesday. Oh, and the game features multiplayer options, but, I don't have any friends. Until next time, I'm Dave, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Time to get more coffee.